Alright, HadesOmega here. We're gonna go head on out. HadesOmega will give his closing remarks. We're riding the DR650 off-road. Alright, the nearest stock DR650. I cannot wait to get moving. I'm sweating buckets right now. It's a nice cool day, but man, it's a workout riding off-road. You know, I'll tell you this thing is like a cruiser off-road, man. It just like, if you don't ride this bike hard off-road, it's fine, alright? With the way it is right now, it's okay. If you don't ride it really aggressively, you'll be fine. If you don't load it up with a lot of gear, it will be fine, alright? However, if you want to ride it aggressively, and, I mean, we rode it, it's not like I was riding it really aggressively, you know? But the trails were just so beat up, you know? Alright, so we're going to go ride down Metcalf Road here. Should be fun. We don't have to air back up because we never aired down, okay? But we could have aired down. It would have made it give us a little better traction. But I felt the trails were actually in pretty good shape today. They weren't all beat up. A little bit slippery because it's kind of dry. Actually, it was the whatchamacallit, the ranger was telling me that it's been humid the last couple of days, and that's right. It is kind of humid, so the trails aren't as slippery as they normally would, you know. That's what I'm saying. Today is great. You know, we're just rolling down. I'm gonna cut this because it's clear. All right, guys, don't do it unless you don't see it's clear up ahead. All right, and also you don't want to touch that line. It's really slippery, so you could go sliding. You know, I won't stay in this one. Yeah, full sport power. All right, remember, it's not a racetrack, HadesOmega. Let me just have my fun here real quick. This is a great road to ride. It's more fun riding up. Whoa, that's slippery right there. Stay off of that. And the DR does great on it. It's a little bumpy, but it soaks all the bumps up, no problem. Whoa! I can feel the back locking up. These tires are not very good. I think they're just old. That's what they are. Woo! Alright, I haven't dropped the bike today. HadesOmega, no shenanigans. Oh, we caught up to a bicyclist. We'll definitely catch up to him here because it's gonna level out. We should have tried to race him. Dude, we passed him at like 30 miles an hour. That dude was going about 30 miles an hour. Alright, yeah. Okay, anyway. So yeah. If you're gonna, for a stock DR, HadesOmega would say, don't ride it too aggressively, you know, and don't load it up with too much stuff, and you'll be fine with the stock DR. If you think you're gonna, if you're gonna be loading it up for adventure riding, you're definitely gonna need stiffer suspension, stiffer springs, and also the shock can't handle it. I would just get a new shock if you're going to do adventure riding with this bike. Alright, unless you want to ride it like an old lady. That's what I say, alright? If your riding style is not that aggressive, then I think you'll be fine, alright? But with just like stiffer springs, if you're going to do adventure riding with this bike. So that's my take on it. If you're going to ride it aggressively, you should probably put some stiffer springs, and like you should put cartridge emulators in the forks. All right, the forks not so good. Also, I would not ride it lowered. All right, this is lowered. The forks have been pushed up into the triple threes 1 inch. All right, so you lost 1 inch of travel already, and then the DR650 has a feature where it has 2 holes on the clevis on the shock, and if you put it on the upper hole, it lowers the bike a little bit. So the DR is good for you riders that are really, it's for short riders, alright? So if you're a short rider, the DR is a pretty good tool sport, alright? if you're heavy and you're short, that's a bad combination on this bike. If you're oh, the brakes kind of suck on the stock DR, by the way. It's so the lever is so squishy. I don't like it, man. You squish it and it doesn't really do much. You know, I like it really responsive braking, so I don't have to grab it as hard. You know, I'm a 2-finger braker, by the way. 2 and 1 finger brake, but I would do 2 fingers on this bike. So that's one of the things. Oh, actually, I have 3-finger levers on this bike. I modify them. I cut the balls off and I put them back on with JB weld. That's what I would suggest, so you don't have long levers. If you drop the bike, you won't break the levers. All right. So that's one of the things that. So yeah. So that goes me into what modifications you should do to the bike. You know, what basic modifications you would want to do to DR650. All right. If you were going to do long distance riding, I would ditch this tank. All right, get a plastic tank. All right, get an A-Service tank or IMS tank. All right, those are both great tanks. HadesOmega has experience with both of them. I do not like the super big, the 6.7 liter A-Service tank. All right, it's too big. All right. It's too big, it looks ugly on the bike, but it definitely lets you go to distance. If you really needed to go far, then that's the one you want. I would get like a 5 or 6 gallon tank. I think this stock tank is like 3 or 5 gallons or something like that. You want probably somewhere in like a 5 or 6 gallons tank. And then you can go pretty far on a DR. You can go close to 200 miles on a DR, is what I want to say, all right? With the stock tank, I think it only does like, I know, I should probably put it in reserve. We might run out of gas. I'm going to go to the gas station after this. Yeah, I'm just going to ride slow going home. I'm just going to do like 55. Wind protection. Okay, there's another thing I'm talking about. What other basic mods you would put on a DR? Oh, shit! Tires are sliding. Okay, these tires are not good. These tires are kind of like at the end of their life, man. I was like, whoa, this bike is sliding, man. Alright, so one of the first things I would do, I'm going to go 55 so it's not so noisy, is get a windscreen for the bike, alright? This bike has awful wind protection stock, alright? It's not a good bike to ride on the freeway unless you get a windscreen, alright? It's just so noisy. Even at 55, it's pretty noisy right now, okay? It makes a big difference when you got a windscreen on, alright? And if possible, get one that you can take off. If you're going to ride off-road and you want to get more wind to your body, then get one that you can take off. What else? Handguards, alright? That's the first thing I would get, handguards. Handguards, you get shorter levers, alright? Or shorten your levers. That way, if you drop the bike, you won't break the lever. All right. That's and carry spare levers with you when you go riding off road. All right. So today was kind of dicey. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, today was kind of dicey. I'm not gonna lie, man. Man, something is on fire. Yeah, today was kind of dicey because we were riding off road and I didn't have any hand guards. I did have shorter levers, but so if I was to drop the bike, you're most likely something is going to get damaged, alright? And your chances of dropping the bike when you're riding off-road are much greater, that's what I say. Alright? That's not necessarily enough to hurt you, you know, because you're not going very fast off-road unless you're just ripping it, you know. And yeah, just kind of, that kind of stuff, man. So yeah, and then also for the seat is okay on this bike. I would get a better seat. I would get a sergeant seat if you're going to do longer rides on this bike. Alright. And taller handlebars. I would get taller handlebars. I'm 5'10". I feel these handlebars are kind of too low. I wish they were a little taller. And yeah, so yeah, overall it's a pretty comfy bike to ride. It's comfy to ride off-road. You know, if you don't stiffen the suspension too much. My DR650 beats me up. The front is like too stiff on it. So this one soaked it up okay. But I bottomed it out today once. you just got to be careful. If you don't ride it hard, I think you'll be okay with the stock suspension, right? But if you start adding stuff to it, then that's when you're going to need to start upgrading the suspension. The stock, if you're not going to do anything to it, it's okay. But I would get the handguards, the shorter levers. I would get a windscreen if you're going to do a lot of freeway riding, you know. I would get a bigger gas tank if you're going to do longer rides. And so when you start adding those stuff, then you got to start upgrading the suspension, okay? That's my take on it. Actually, HadesOmega was quite surprised how good this bike rides off-road. This bike is a 2000, it's pretty old, it's 22 years old already, and it did okay. Imagine if I had fresh oil in the forks and a new shock, you know, how much better it would be riding then. Okay? So, I thought it did great. I'm actually quite impressed with the DR, man. And like I said, I've been riding DRs for a long time, and when I was a dude, you know, I remember it was a lot harder riding off-road, but this one was not so bad. I liked it, you know. If you don't push it too hard, you'll be fine. Just know know your limits and know your bike's limits. Okay, that's the important stuff. All right, so thanks for watching. That was HadesOmega's nearly stock DR650 adventure ride at Metcalf Motorcycle Park. Thanks for watching. HadesOmega.